Here's a few words with Stephanie Haldane and Jesse Bond of Southwest Fire Academy. Tell me what's upcoming at SFA.
Well, upcoming, we've got some spring courses. We have our pre-service program, which still has some spots available. Boot Camp 78, which starts their online on April 19th, and their in-class is August 10th to August 29th. Boot Camp 79 online starts May 14th, and their in-class dates are September 14th to October 3rd. We have Hazmat Awareness Operations with their in-class May 21st to May 23rd. Hazmat Technician with in-class dates May 11th to May 16th. And we have a Pump Operations course happening May 19th to May 22nd.
Awesome. And doing some hiring, looking for instructors across the province. We're doing courses all throughout the province. And we are introducing SFA's Ladderman program, which will be geared towards the instructors with different incentives and pay raises and things like that. So if you have any interest in instructing and think you'd be a good fit for us, please reach out to Stephanie.
Yeah, absolutely. Our mission is to raise the bar of the fire service, and we're doing this through this instructor Ladderman program. So if you're new to instructing or have experience instructing and are passionate about the fire service and aggressive, smart firefighting and training, then we're looking for you. You do not need to be in the area of SFA. As Jesse mentioned, we have courses running from Essex County all the way up to Goulet River, and we're looking for people all over the province. If interested, you can apply by emailing myself, and my email is shaldane@fire-academy.ca. That's SHALDANE@fire-academy.ca.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 122 of Multiple Calls. I'm Scott Hewlett. The most important emergency scene videos that you can watch are heroic acts by civilians, people who found themselves in unexpected situations, untrained, unequipped, and unprotected, and couldn't stand to be the bystander and watch, or worse yet, film. They are first responders because they were the first to respond. The call didn't come over a speaker. The call came from inside of them. They didn't drive to the scene. They were driven to do what was urgent and right. And if you are paying attention, what should dawn on you is that sometimes the very structure we are officially a part of, that should exist solely to allow us to do more than we could in our street clothes, muddies the purity of that essence. We are supposed to be more willing, more effective, and more efficient than the untrained versions of ourselves before we were given this opportunity. There are a lot of people that don't have the t-shirt that are unknowingly capable or even more capable than some that do. The adages, "It takes one to know one, and you'll know it when you see it," are true. Drop the persona, title, and the costume, and remember and recognize the spirit. Here's my chat with Ziad Hameed. Where you grew up and the dynamic of your family and your journey to Canada are super pertinent. So let's start at the beginning. Just talk to me about where you grew up and your family, and we'll go on from there.
I was born and raised in Baghdad, Iraq. We are a family of 6. My parents, 3 guys and 3 girls. So 2 brothers and 3 sisters. I'm the oldest between them. My dad is a lawyer. My mom was a housekeeper. She had her high school. She didn't continue just because she had 6 kids to take care of. Baghdad was beautiful at the time. I grew up during the time where the war between Iraq and Iran was happening, as I was 6 years old, witnessing all that mess. By the time I was 17, turning to 18, I was volunteered basically in the Iraqi military, which led me to see things that I shouldn't have been seeing in that young age. So I decided, instead of going to different direction, that's what everyone was expecting me to go med school, something within medical field. I had that caring, I guess, They call it caring or giving or something. Instead of doing that, I decided to go to art school, which is something that was my passion and my hobby since I was a kid. And my dad supported me with that because he seen the effect of war on me. Ended up going to the Academy of Art in Baghdad University, Academy of Fine Arts in Baghdad University. It was extended for 6 years instead of 4, just because I didn't want to leave. And I didn't want to go and serve again in the military after graduating from university as the system was. That was during Saddam regime.
When you wrote to me, you said that you grew up at your grandparents' home. So talk to me about that dynamic. How does that, you said that's culturally the norm.
12 years of my life was at my grandparents' home. It's the way it works. You don't leave your house. You don't leave your elder. You grow up with them. So my grandparents were like our parents. They are in charge as well of my parents, and my parents are in charge of us. It's like a whole organization. Houses usually are big in Iraq, so no one leaves unless they bought their own house. If they leave to rent elsewhere, that means they have a problem, inner problem. Otherwise, you don't leave unless you actually buy in a house. And that's exactly what happened when my dad built his own home. During the war, it was difficult to build. It took him almost 5 years to build one house. So that's when we moved out. But when I said moved out, we were like in the same neighborhood. Literally, there was my grandparents' house, my aunt, and my dad's house. It's like one next to each other. So yeah, it's that's the environment, that's the mentality in Iraq. Right now, like currently, all my family are in Canada. My middle brother refused to go anywhere without my parents. It's this mentality thing.
And you said your dad owned a bunch of businesses instead of investing his money in banks. So talk to me about that.
My dad was kind of entrepreneur in a way. He did not like to put money in the bank. Never did. So he literally invests everywhere. Even though his education and his work as a lawyer, my uncles, both of them were jewelers. So he invested in them, and he invested in opening a jeweler store for his own. And then when I grew up and become 18 years old, he invested in me and I opened my jewelry studio. He also invested in bakery store, dessert store, barbers, hair salon for female, factory for basically uniform, military uniform. He did not like to have money in the bank, not because of any conspiracy or anything, but he had that mentality that money could be working for me instead of having it in a bank, and the interest is not that big of a deal. Remember, that was back in the 80th when Iraq was very stable despite the war, and every Iraqi dinar was 3.5 American dollars. So it was totally different level than what it is right now.
How was school for you?
School was good. I was first in my class until I hit puberty and become teenager, and that's when things went downhill. And not that I lost it, but it's kind of my focus kind of shifted, and that's why I keep telling my nephews and nieces and my brothers and sisters that keep an eye on those kids, keep them occupied, keep them busy with the sports, education, anything that make them mentally ready to continue and get a good degree, get a good education. Otherwise, the second you get lost in teenagers, it's really pretty hard to recover after that.
You mentioned you were voluntold. Basically, that's how it works for military service. So run me through that and what the price of non-compliance is.
In 1990, our previous president, great Saddam, decided to occupy Kuwait, another state, another sovereign country, which doesn't make any sense. I was at the time 16, turning 17. The entire world, as you know, turned against him. Well, about 5 months after he occupied Kuwait, the war started. During those 4 months, he started recruiting. So the military went from, I think, 300,000 all to 2 point something million. His military recruit went to high school and goes, who want to fight the so-and-so? Who want to fight the big devil? Who want to be a soldier? Blah, blah, blah. The reality is, it sounds like an option that you could say yes, or you could say no. My dad was furious at me when he realized that I actually volunteered. But he deep inside, he knew that I had no option, or because if you did not volunteer, your name, your family name will be under investigation. You will never get to college or university, business, like you name it. The government manipulated everyone that way. I volunteered. For example, my class was about 30 students. There was 28 volunteers. And the other two, the only reason why they did not volunteer is because one of them has disability and the other one has an asthma, like severe asthma. So otherwise, they would volunteer as well. Basically, that's how within 4 months, the Army went from 300,000 to 2.4 or 2.5 million. Okay, that's because all of these teenagers that's not even turning 18, about to turn 18, become soldiers. During that period, there were camps in every province in Iraq. And those military camps, led by military, trained by military, but training those teenagers to do something. So as we attend those trainings, we did not know at the time, but later on we knew there was a professional training required for certain guys, basically. I was selected, otherwise I wouldn't know that I was part of it. I was the only one selected from my high school, but a couple of guys from other high school. I don't know what the criteria at the time. I think it has something to do with the focus, with the knowledge. I don't know. All I know that I was selected. So after we finished the basic training, which is how to use the AK-47, back home known as a Kalashnikov, how to load it, how to use it, all that basic things. And then 2 weeks after that, we went for the second training. And it was another weekend. Within that training, apparently they divide those special group to divide them to two sections, basically, or two divisions. The first division, they trained them for RPG-7, which is anti-tank rocket. The first group were trained for Sting missiles, which is anti-helicopters mostly. They knew that it won't reach the F-16 at the time. And they called those training as the single walls. Remember, we used to do that as we were doing high school. It was Saturday till Thursday, we were in high school. And then Thursday evening to Friday night, we are in the camp. So we did that for like 4 weeks. As a kid, that was like, I'm carrying my Kalashnikov, I'm wearing military, and here's your Sting missile, here's your RPG-7. So,
what was the total number of days you got trained then?
Believe it or not, if you total it by hours, it will not exceed 6 days.
Wow.
6 days to throw a kid in the desert.
You said you weren't trained as a soldier in the Iraqi Army Force. You were referred to as public volunteers.
Yeah, that's who we are. So that's why the majority of the guys who were killed at the time, who looked like soldiers, but they were volunteers. I just got to take a break here and say something, because it's basically, that's why I laughed when I first joined the fire department. And they told me 6 months, you're going to attend the academy for 6 months. I was like, 6 months? I went for less than 6 days and I was soldier in the war and operating Sting missile. What are you talking about? I'm only holding a hose. Like, so I was that oblivious when I first joined. But anyways, so that's what it is. 6 days training, and we were waiting for a code. And the code, the war started, the code was a song on the radio. They said, when you hear that song, you report to your station. And the station was a high school, one of the or a school, where there is a bus going to take you to your destination. So we waited and waited, almost 2 weeks in, less than like shortly after the war. I would say 12 to 14 days. I can't really remember exact date. And we heard the song. And that because I told all my family what the situation is. So I dressed up, off I go. And that was within 6 or 7 hours, I was on the border. What I did not know, I was actually across the border. I wasn't even in Iraqi territory. I was in the occupied territory of Kuwait. And that's from there they distribute us and told us This is your area, that's your area. This is how you get water and food. This shelter, that shelter, that shelter. This is your radio, you listen to it, and do not surrender because our president will not surrender. And actually, he said that in public on TV. He went, when I say he, I'm referring to Saddam. He went on TV saying, even if you see me face, sound saying I'm surrendering, do not believe in it because American has the technology to manipulate that. That's why the casualty was even more after actually the war started, because everyone was following an order for not surrendering. So I was selected for Sting missile operation, and I was a single wolf, as I mentioned, jumping from place to place, waiting for Apache basically to activate the Sting missile and shoot. That's pretty much it, which never happened. But
you wrote to me about a story of why you were not supposed to activate the Stinger missile until you were told to. Maybe walk me through what happened that evening.
During our training, it's something way far after that I learned that those Sting missiles were stolen from Kuwaiti army. So it wasn't even a missile that had been used in the Iraqi army. They stole it from Kuwait. Because of that, they did not know much about that missile, how does it operate, or they knew a basic, and that's why they did not hand it to soldiers. So there are many stories about that. But long story short, so Sting missiles has a full system and has its own kind of sensor. It's connected to your ear, so you can hear that sensor, so beeping basically. The training says do not activate it unless you have visual. So if you don't have a visual of an Apache or of an helicopter, it doesn't have to be Apache, do not activate it. And the reason behind that, because you could be hearing the sound of helicopter, but it's like miles away. You're in the desert, and it's kind of the sound travel in different way than the city. I follow those orders because that's the way it goes. But one night, which is a very sad night, I went for water and supplies, for water and food. So there was that shelter that I kind of started having connection with the kids. They were there. They were all my age. They were from the neighborhood, all in high school. And they were excited to see me because I'm the one who's actually been selected for so-and-so. This is a Sting missile. Most of the guys who comes into their shelter to get food and drink, they were only RPG-7. RPG-7 is very common in the Iraqi army. Everyone knows everything about it. They asked me a couple of times. I just explained it to them without demonstrating. That night, there was another guy who showed up, and I don't know which direction I saw him for the first time, but he was from one of the schools that close to my neighborhood. But he was like, "Oh yeah, this is a Sting missile. You can shoot it. You can shut down Apache. I cannot wait to use it. Blah blah blah." And bang, he clicked the button. This is how it works, and he started demonstrating. As he started, I went furious. I started screaming, "Run, run!" Because during the training, they told us the second you activate those sensors, the Apache will recognize you. That's why you will actually find your location. That's how the technology works. They told us not to do that unless you have visual, because now you have the upper hand. But if you don't have visual, you don't. This guy activated inside the shelter. So guess what? Now this shelter, the Apache most of the helicopters I've seen that during that time was Apache. Know the location. So I am trying to save myself and save everyone. So all I said, run, guys, run, leave. Like I'm shouting, screaming, grabbing my things and running without even knowing what's going on. I did not go that far before the Apache start hitting. I actually seen the first explosion before seeing the plane. That shelter was farmed. There was over 20 volunteers. I can't remember the numbers. I remember their faces because I met them several times for water and supplies. and they were just young kids. But for the Apache, did not know who the hell is there. All they know that there's a Sting missile been activated, and that's a threat for helicopters. I think I did not go for any shelter for a long time after that, even though that I was almost out of food and drink. I was extremely careful, and when I go grab it and run like right away. I don't know, like it's kind of messed me up at the time. Did not go back to that location and see how it looked like, because I seen it. It was evening, and I seen the fire, the flame, and the explosions. I don't need to know what happened. It's very obvious. And usually when something gets hit by Apache, they kind of make it as draw a circle, and anything within that circle has to be destroyed. It's the way it looked like. So there's no point of me going back. So that was the very first experience in my life that I seen something as horrible as that. And I was just 17.
When we spoke a number of months ago, you talked about a passage that you had to endure as part of the military at the end of the war when the surrender occurred and you had to walk your way back.
It's well known, actually. You can Google it. Just called the Mile of Death, or the 10 Miles of Death, between Kuwait and Iraq. Mostly, I don't know if big portion of it in Iraq or big portion of it in Kuwait, but all I know, it was the Iraqi vehicles and apparatus and tanks retreating from Kuwait into inside Iraq, but they were hit and burned and destroyed. I don't know what happened exactly. I don't know if it was intentionally, even though that they were surrendering as the government of Iraq at the time. That's what they claimed. They claimed that they were surrendering, and the American did not respect that and destroyed and killed those soldiers and those people. Unfortunately, that was the only passage that I have to go through to get to Iraq. There was no other way, because every other way you are putting yourself in the danger. So I had to walk through burned apparatus, burned vehicle and tanks and burned bodies inside it that you can actually almost taste it, not just smell it. Like, it's so bad. Before I even walked through the passage, I have to take off my military jacket, military shirts and sweater, and bring out my undershirt, the white one, so I can wear it on top of everything, because it was February, it was cold. So I have to do that and wear it on top so I don't get killed by the American. It's a sign of surrender. And I have to carry nothing in my hand, like no food, no drink, not a backpack, not a gun, nothing. It's surrendering. You've seen those on the Second World War, and probably you would see it in YouTube and for the Iraqi army at the time. It was devastating, considering how many soldiers were involved in that. And so I walked through it. It was confusing in a way, because you think about yourself, you survived. But in the same topic, you go, why would I survive? I shouldn't be alive. I shouldn't be surviving this. This is wrong. My entire army, at the time, the propaganda brainwashed us in a way that you feel defeated. And it's in a personal level, not even the country level. Like, you feel defeated. You are part of a big thing that you were defeated. Add to that the trauma of seeing this as a young age. Like, you see in part of human bodies all over. You see a burned human body. You see some of them, you see the look on their face almost as if it wasn't. It was, I can't even describe it. The only way I can say, if you Google it, you will find a picture of that. First of all, there's no vehicle allowed. Like, I was walking from the border of Kuwait all the way to Baghdad. That was 3 days walk. Like, these days, there are certain religion event, people doing that walk for religion event. And it takes them 5, 6 days, 7 days, depends, because they take a break, they sleep over. We didn't have that luxury. All we need is to get home. So literally walk and walk and walk and walk day and night. In February, no food, no drink. If you are lucky, somebody seeing you as a soldier and go, oh, poor guy, here is a sandwich, here is something. That's it. 3 days I was in Baghdad. I arrived at my parents at the time. I entered the house and I did something that my dad still remember, and thankfully my dad was there. I got to the house, not saying anything. I can't remember actually details about it, but I now my parents, when they remember this and talk about it, said your face was different. It's like you are not our son. You did not say a word. You just walked in. You did not even take your shoes from. Usually, that's you don't walk in with your shoes. You did not even take off your shoes, and you walk in all the way to your bedroom, and that's when the incident happened. And by incident, I said, I went to my bedroom. I sat on my bed. As an Iraqi citizen, I had a gun. It's normal thing to protect yourself, all that stuff, and especially after war, every house has a weapon. My favorite weapon was the Kalashnikov, which is AK-47. I pulled it from underneath the bed. It was fully loaded because the magazine that I grabbed, it's always loaded. I grabbed the magazine, put it in, put it on automatic mode in case I missed, put a pencil on it, and put it in my mouth. I was about to shoot myself. I don't remember if somebody was following me. In all honesty, it's like right now it's tunnel vision. The way I remember it is me walking doing this. I don't even remember the color of the room at the time or the sheet or anything. I remember doing this, and I remember my dad jumping on me and stopping it from happening, and screaming after that from my mom, from everyone, and the house went to panic mode. Yeah. I don't know what happened after that, to be honest. It's very blurry. I think my parents convinced me to go have a hot shower. I think I cried at some point. I don't know when I ate after that, but I remember I had a long, long conversation with my dad. For a couple of days, when I was sleeping, my dad was sleeping in a bed next to me, and I cannot even go to the washroom without him watching what I'm doing. They remove everything from the bathroom, razors or anything sharp, before I had a shower. I was surrounded, and my dad said, thankfully, my dad is well educated, like not only being a lawyer, but he was also a writer. He still is. He is not that like the old school type of guy. Oh, no, my son, you're a man. A man needs to be a man, which is cultural wise appropriate. No, he's not that type of person. He was upfront to me. He said, "You're too young to face what you face. I'm not gonna ask you what happened, but all I can say that you need to see a shrink. There is no shame of that. If I need it, I will go for it. I know culturally wise, he was very upfront, explained it to me. He said, at some point in my life, I wish I went for one, but I guess I was afraid of the culture and all that stuff, that thinking about me differently. I'm not judging you that way. You're my son. Your health is important to me. Like all the thing, like to the point that I was like, is he really doing that to me? Like I felt insulted. Like, is he really gonna send me to a shrink? Like, what the hell? Little I know, it was very helpful. For the next 2 years, I was going in every day. The first year and a half, or a year at least, my dad is the one who's taking me and waiting room until the meeting is done and bring me back. And when he starts seeing improvement, things start changing, and I start going by myself. Despite after school, when I was back to school, but he could see the effect on me. Like even when I graduated from high school, and I said, Dad, I'm going to the Academy of Art, if you don't mind, which is something that he actually rejected on my 9th grade, because on my grade 9, I was going to go to the Institution of Art, which is one level below the academy. And he refused. He said, no, at least get your high school, make your decision then. He was hoping that things going to change. Because of what happened this time, zero rejection. He just go, yeah, okay, let's go do it. He filled up the application form and everything, went with me with every steps until I started at the Academy of Art.
How soon after returning home did you have to re-engage with school? Was there any time in between to process, or were you immediately back into school?
No, the school was shut down. Not by choice. It's because of the war and because of, obviously, but after years, we knew another reason. Many kids did not come back. So the school for that educational year did not continue. And the government made everyone passes. Like if you are in grade 10, you are automatically grade 11. So we didn't need to go back to school. The winter was over, and then spring and summer, we didn't go to school until the fall for the new year after that.
And then the Academy of Fine Arts in the University of Baghdad. You mentioned you painted quite a bit as a child, so that was sort of a focus when you went to school.
Everyone was looking at me as an artistic soul in a way. I was like, I love painting. Painting is like painting and drawing is my way of recovering from anything. If I had a fight with you and I'm angry and I grab a pen and start scratching, done. I'm done. It's like a musician playing piano. All their anger goes through their body to their fingers and out. It's similar, very similar. So since I was a kid, I loved painting and drawing. Even during high school, I had a couple of paintings in the high school on the wall that my principal asked me to do for the government, supporting the propaganda at the time. But when I went to the Academy of Art, it was different level. And the people who are teaching us art are actually professional artists who had multiple exhibitions, who've been graduated from multiple universities all over the world, well-known names. It's different level because what I think I knew before, I know how to draw, for example, is now nothing, or it's basic. It's a good skill, but here's the right way. It's like going to the academy, you watch a couple of things in the YouTube and all that stuff, and you think, yeah, I know these things. No, here's the easier way to carry the hose. Here's the easiest way to climb a ladder. Here's the safest way to do so and so. Pretty much the same in art. Those great artists taught me specifically how to draw it the proper way, how to use oil paint, something I never used before, how to mix it, the effect of brush, the effect of everything. So that's why I felt so comfortable. I was finishing the class or lectures in 1 year and fail intentionally, or sometimes I even go to my teacher and say, could you please fail me in the practical? He said, why? You're acing it. Could you please fail me so I can do it the second year? So they know that you don't want to join the military. It's well known after graduation. So they go, okay, I'll fail you. And the next year, I'm doing only practical. I don't need to go attend any lecture. I'm always in the studio. I'm always covered with oil paint. It was a lot of fun.
Otherwise, you graduate and you would be put into the official army.
If I finish the Academy of Art 4 years, then I have to serve in the official army for 2 years after. So and universities serve only 2 years. If you graduate from high school, you serve 3 years. Anything below that, you go 4 to 5 years from back in the days.
So you were able to avoid basically having to be re-enlisted? That
was the plan. I was actually even thinking, if I continue and after graduation apply for example, master degree, which wasn't in the radar, and then PhD, then continue studying, I might actually only serve for 6 months after that, which is easily done. If you arrange it and you have connection, you might even serve within your own town. You might say, okay, I'm going to serve in this kind of office next to the Academy of Art. So you go back and forth. And it depends on the connection you have, you could serve nothing. But as long as you can plan it well. So that was the initial plan.
But then instead, so you graduated...
So instead of me graduating in 1997, I graduated in 99.
You said you became a professional artist and you actually even published a couple books.
Yeah. During the time being in the Academy of Art, all the students, all the instructors, teachers, they do something else as well. And It happened to be something artistic. I think I had my dad's DNA was affecting me in a way because I didn't realize that I was a writer, like I could write. But then I'm surrounded by individual like yourself, for example, and back and forth. And if you are a writer and your language to me would be totally different. And here I am responding, and they go, "Oh, did you write? Are you a writer? Are you like?" They are a student just like you and I, and we are in the same class. And within that time, I recognized that and start writing. And here I am. I'm writing. Like one day I would be writing like 3, 4 poems. I fell in love with a girl who's actually a writer as well. So the way we used to communicate with each other or gifting each other, we call it the cigarette. So the cigarette is, she gave me the blue cigarette, I gave her the white cigarettes. The cigarette is a piece of paper that depends on how long is the poem that I am writing to her, it will be rolled. So if it's thick, she knew that it's a long poem. If it's thin, it would be. So every day I give her her cigarette, she gave me her cigarette. It's kind of, we are in love, but we also stimulating each other to write and encouraging each other to write. So by the time I had like bunch of blue cigarettes, she started even going even further by putting her perfume on the paper, let the paper dry, then she write on it. Then here I am having a cigarette, go, that's not so good.
Amazing.
Yeah, so,
did you mention that you had a jewelry studio at one point before you left Iraq?
Yeah, between the hour of 11 and midnight, 11 p.m. and midnight, there was a program. It's for lovers, basically. There was a radio station targeting young generation. That radio station was owned by Uday Saddam, the oldest son of Saddam Hussein. So he is targeting those generation by giving something that other station doesn't. So he has a TV station and he has a radio station, and everyone was watching that because if there are TV shows that you cannot get them anywhere, he goes and steal them and put them in this TV and so on. I was offered the opportunity to do that 1 hour between 11 p.m. till midnight, read some of my poems, and the director will put some music in between. And the music, the most popular love music or love songs. So people were waiting for that 11 o'clock. I personally used to wait for it before I participate in it. Not because of my poem. People are waiting for the beautiful songs. So my poems was like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? So I started doing that for a while, for like several months. One day we had a festival called Al-Mirbad in Arabic. Probably that sounds the same in English. It's a festival where poets from all over the Arabic country or the countries who speak in Arabic language come into Baghdad and compete by bringing one poem, reading it, and the judge will give first stage, second, and third. I was like, okay, I guess I'm participating in this because my director says, yeah, you've been on the radio. I think you should go. Sure. At the time, I had my very first book published in Baghdad, a poem book. So I was like, yeah, I'm all like arrogant. Yeah, sure, I can do that. Let's go and join the festival. So I did. I think I made a wrong choice at the time because my poem was called Freedom. So I was in my poem, I'm talking to freedom as a girl. So showing her, I love you. When I meet you, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go on a picnic. We're gonna, just like when you dream what you're gonna do with your girlfriend, except my girlfriend is freedom. So absolutely no indication, politics or whatsoever. Apparently that the government was not happy with that. I did not know about this thing because I won the first prize, actually. The TV were on, and I remember I got home and everyone is waiting for the 7 p.m. because that's where the news is. And they're going to show me for like 3 or 4 seconds receiving my award, and the family is happy, my uncles and aunt, my cousins, and just like and food and drink and celebration. Sure. Yeah. I'm happy too. It's a huge achievement. Before even the news hit in and I seen myself on TV, two guys knock on the door. My dad answered the door, the main door, and they asked for me. And he said, yeah, he's here. And that was it. That's how I left my country. Or that's the first step of where I left my country. They did a bag on my head and come with us. My dad knows the protocol. He's a lawyer. So if they put a bag on your head, you've been arrested for political reason and no one should ask any question. If they arrest you as is, no, you did something criminal. If your face shown up because they are taking you to the police station, or even if you are a gang master, like they will never put something on your head. So my dad knew it. I could hear the screaming and my mom and my sister and all the mess behind, but I don't see anything. Got into a car. In all honesty, Scott, the fun part of this, that I did not know why was I arrested until I was out of the country and my dad left the country and I met them in Syria. Then he told me the story because he could not even say that over a phone. I did not know why I was arrested. After years, then I knew it was because of a poem and somebody reported me. The same individual who reported me twice while I was in university because of jealousy. And 2 times I passed. I guess the third time was the killer. So I was arrested apparently.
Were you interrogated that night?
No, I wasn't for at least a couple of days after that. I assume it was a couple of days because I didn't see, there was no window, nothing to see where are you? I was in a small 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter type of room. It's made for police, like police dogs. Because on my right was a dog, on my left was a dog, behind me was a dog, so I have to crawl to be in the center, otherwise those guys gonna bite me. So, and in the morning, which I assume it's the morning, I'm not sure, to be honest, because time means nothing there. Time is whatever your mind is calculating. But at some point, let's say in the morning, a guy comes in and push one of the bowls that has water for the dogs, push one towards me. Dogs get their food. I get a small piece of dry bread. And that's it. That's my meal for the day. And it continued like that for at least a couple of weeks. I think a couple of weeks. Again, time is irrelevant at that point. All I know is I was interrogated a couple of times. It was bad. They know why I'm like, they know I'm innocent. But if I am in that position and I know you're innocent and I'm putting you, I would have at least some sympathy. I would feel bad. This young guy who has the entire future ahead of him is here for that. If I'm being forced to do this, they did not have any sympathy. They were kind of happy this is happening. And I honestly have no idea how you can, I don't know how to describe that. How you can
be so malevolent.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not guilty. You probably listen to my radio show every night. Why? I'm not asking you actually to save me, but at least have some sympathy. It was a very weird situation. I don't know what happened, but I remember one time, I would say one night, because when I was out, it was dark. That's all I remember. A guy came in with a blanket and he opened that cage and he said, "Come out." And I remember saying, "I can't," because the way you sit for days and days and you sit like that, I can't even move my body the normal way. So he pulled me, and obviously I lost a lot of weight as well. So he pulled me, put me on that blanket, wrapped me, and carried me. So apparently I lost a lot of weight because he could carry me like a baby. I had no defense. I didn't even want to fight or say no, or not knowing who the hell is this guy. because I was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's get it over with. Whatever it is, it is. He put me in the back of a Land Cruiser, which is the vehicle of officers in Iraq, and drove. I had zero interest of looking where he's driving. I have no energy to look even through, to lift my head and look through the windows. I was like, you know what? I'm laying down on a cushion. That's a bonus. Let me enjoy this, my last minutes or whatever it is. Then he parked in front. When he opened the door, my mom, my sisters, he opened the door in front of my family. And I didn't know that this guy is saving me, actually. Later on, my dad again told me the story. So apparently, this guy was my father's friend in high school. He went to the military and policing and all that stuff and escalated in the government. My dad went to law school, but they kept in touch. He saw my name with the last name in it. And he was like, I wonder if this kid is Tariq's son. My dad's name, Tariq. So he contacted him. And my dad says, yes, he's my son. Where is he? I said, well, he is about to be transferred. So there was another jail. I don't know how truthful the story is, to be honest. It's just he said, she said. He told my dad that I was about to transfer to that jail called Radwaniya back in the days. Radwaniya is a jail that if anybody transferred to, they don't come out because they get executed there, pretty much cemetery. I don't know how truthful the story. I don't know why would they transfer me, but he told my dad. I have no option but to believe that gentleman because he did not ask my dad for money or anything. He just wanted to help. So if he asked for money, I would say he was using scare tactic to get some money from my dad. No, he didn't. So he said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to, because we are shipping a bunch of people there, I'm going to make it sound like your son is one of those. Meanwhile, I'm taking him. He said, but in one condition, your son has to leave the country before 7 a.m. Again, I learned that way back after that. That's the reason my mom was waiting at the door. They took me. My mom put me in the shower. She actually washed me, like took off everything, washed me. They had clothes. They put clothes on me, and they have my suitcase already loaded. Land Cruiser put me to another Land Cruiser that the guy arranged for another driver to take me to Jordan. My mom didn't want to leave me. She just saw me like for half an hour, barely. My sisters are preparing food. I have a bag of food. I have a drink. I have everything. And my luggage was in the car. And they put me in the car. I said, where I'm going? They said, just go. Okay, go. So I didn't have the energy to fight or argue or keep asking questions because I was whipped. I was exhausted. And there's food in the bag. I need to eat. Apparently, that guy was taking me to Jordan. Jordan, by the time we reached the border, they refused to take me. I learned that as well, the hard way, because he had to go back. I don't know what the reason why the Jordanian government did not take me at the time or refused to accept me going through. So he literally has to turn from the Jordanian border, go east, and then north again to Syrian border before 7 a.m. We did pass the border before 7 a.m., but the officer in the Syrian border was very suspicious about me. What's going on? I'm not letting you in unless I know what's going on. Why do you have a luggage that has books in it? Why, like, what's something weird about you? Like he just didn't like me. So, and he interrogated me for almost 10 hours. I said, listen, here. So I took off my shirt. I said, you see this? You see those marks? You see the hit? You see the bruises on my face? You see all this? I just came out of jail. Because I've been told during those hours of driving and all that stuff, I've been told this is what you say so they can take you as a refugee. I said, well, this is my case. If I go back now, my name is already on the border. I'll be arrested, executed before even probably reach Baghdad. Okay, you should have told me that. You didn't ask me. You just, long story short, he said, okay, sit down here. I'll come back. When he came back, he asked me if I would like to drink a cup of tea. I felt like relief. I was like, okay, Cup of tea. Okay. Yeah, sure. Then the miracle happened. He looked at me. He said, I just received the order. He stood up and shook my hand and he was like, welcome to your second country, Syria. Here is my card. And he wrote a note behind it. He said, there's 4 or 5 stops, like military stops on the way to Damascus. If anyone asks you, show them this card, they will pass through. I'm telling you one thing, Scott, in a country led by dictatorship, that card in my hand, like it's a business card, that was like a green card if you compare to the United States to enter. I was going through those stop units on the road. There would be a long lineup, and I would tell him that no, he told us not to go with the lineup, go to the other line that's specialized for the government vehicle. And all I do is show them the card. This is the card and this is the note. I don't even hand them the card. And they go, yeah, welcome, go ahead. Go. The driver was freaking out. He was like, Ziad, what the hell just happened? That's why I said, I don't know. I have no idea who the hell is this guy. Even his name was a nickname, wasn't even an official name. Like his business card, he was obviously an intelligent system type of guy. But we went in. I finally arrived to Damascus. He told me to go to the section of the Damascus government and they will have all my information and I can get a refugee status. And that's how I become a refugee in Syria.
So tell me now about how being a refugee in Syria and then you becoming aware of this competition, designing posters. So your art background intermeshes in your journey with this and you decide to engage in this art competition.
In Syria, I had to work so I can live, I can survive. I figured, you know what, I could work as a graphic design, not knowing what a graphic design is. I seen in the computer maybe a couple of times in my life before that in certain office when they were building my first book, but I don't know how it functions. I know it can do something. I didn't think I needed to have a computer skills. So I applied for the first company and they hired me for my drawing skills. As I'm working there, they showed me how to start using Photoshop and Corel Draw at the time. I'm working there. I'm living in a shared accommodation apartment in Damascus. And the people who are living with me are almost the same situation, Iraqis who are refugees in Syria. So they kept telling me, Ziad, what are you doing to yourself? You have all these skills. You should be good in Europe or elsewhere. I was like, yeah, but how do you get there? They said, well, first of all, you have a refugee status with the Syrian government. You shouldn't have that because if you have that, you are not eligible to apply to the United Nations as a refugee. So you have to cancel this, then apply with the United Nations, and United Nations will put you in a program called resettlement. And so, okay. So I went to the person who actually met me the very first time and gave me that refugee status. He was very friendly with me, and he still is actually. I have missed connection since Bashar al-Assad fall, the government, so I don't know where he is now, but I'm hoping to hear back from him. Anyways, he was very kind, and he said, Ziad, listen, how about this? I'm going to freeze it, which is exactly the same because when the United Nations will do their search, you have no refugee status anywhere. I'm going to freeze it. If that didn't work, remember, this is your home, this is your country, you can come back. I said, I appreciate that, thank you. So I followed their advice. I applied to United Nations and they were telling me, okay, you need to come up with a story. I said, what a story? So apparently people are faking stories to go to the UN so they can get accepted, so they can leave. I did not know that. I said, well, I don't need a story. He said, oh, no, you need to come up with this. I said, trust me, I don't need a story. I know what I'm saying. They can confirm it. I went for my first interview with the UN, told my story, came out. Within a week, I was accepted. So you can imagine, I got the attention of everyone in that neighborhood. This guy came in within a week, got the United Nations, and there are people waiting for a couple, 2 or 3 years. They haven't even get accepted. So it's I can't say jealousy. It's like they want to know what's going on. It's more of curiosity. They kept asking me. I said, well, I just told my story. I just told who I am. So what's your story? I said, not saying, because my family is still in Iraq. I didn't want anything to leak and affect my parents and brothers and sisters. So I got accepted with the UN. As I'm doing the process, getting my ID, getting my pictures, getting all these things, I seen a poster at the door of the UN. It was the end of 1999. And the poster basically saying there's a competition for graphic designers from all over the world to compete for this UNHCR posters that we're going to publish and distribute it all over the world. We're going to choose 10 posters from 10 graphic designers, blah, blah, blah. Sure. Yeah. I figured I didn't even know how to use Photoshop. I had to have my friend Khalid from Syria. He was sitting next to me and I'm telling him my vision. And he said, yeah, you do this, then you do that. I went and took a picture in a couple of camps north of Syria, a couple of refugees camps. Those are different situation than the people who are in Damascus, and use those pictures in my posters and submit the posters. And that's it. Little I know, I submit the poster, I'm good. I'm continuing my life, working and doing things. Around mid-January, I've been called and they told me, you won. Right on. So what does that mean? Is it money? I'm getting any money or something? It wasn't money, it was like more like symbolic thing. So I went there to receive my award. They had a little party there, and apparently my award was created. Initially, they were going to choose 10 posters from 10 graphic designers. For some reason, no idea why, they chose 2 posters from me so I had 2 posters, and the rest of the graphic designer are 8. So therefore, they have to come up with a name so they called me the Millennium Designer, the Millennium Graphic Designer, whatever it is. I arrived to receive my award, and the director of the UNHCR, the branch of Damascus at the time, was from Iraq. They called him Dr. So-and-so, but I can't remember if he's a doctor actually or something. But long story short, I'm receiving the award. He said, I saw you here before. I said, of course you saw me here. I'm a refugee. I'm coming. I come back and forth to check my stat and all that stuff. I said, you're a refugee here? I said, yeah, I am. He said, so as an Iraqi, seeing what another Iraqi young man achieved, he wanted to show it off. Like he grabbed me up from off my shoulder. Guys, come on, come here. And he's the boss. So everyone listened to him. Look at this guy. This guy is from Iraq. He's the winner of this award, and he's a refugee here. Then my worker from UN, she get involved. She said, yeah, I know him. He's a good guy, blah, blah, blah. Said, okay, sure. What is it? He said, can you do something like for me? I said, sure. Can you come tomorrow morning? I might have a job for you. Let me just contact. Sure. Yeah. Initially, I thought I was going to do something basic. It ended up being the job basically is to convince and ask other organizations to donate to the UNHCR cause. I have a reputation, my posters all over the world, and I can approach that topic. So he explained it to me. He said, yeah, and you will be traveling all over the world. You will be doing this and that. Sure, I'm in. So I started doing this. I said, but my passport is expired. My passport was literally at the end of it by the time I crossed the border. That's one of the reasons why the Syrian government were like suspicious about me. And I said, I cannot go to the Iraqi embassy to get my passport. You know the drill. He said, yeah, oh yeah. You know what? We'll get you a UN passport. When you travel, we get you a UN passport. Okay. Everything went well. I worked with them. He said, but in the meantime, what's your plan? I said, well, I'm thinking resettlement program, if you don't mind putting me in that. But I'm not sure yet. I said, okay, we'll do that. We'll make that work in the background. And while I'm working with the UN, I kept basically visiting multiple countries. And when you visit them as a UN employee, you are VIP. You go through the diplomatic path. There's a vehicle waiting for you. They gave you the tour on the good part of every country. You go to the highest level of restaurants and hotels and blah, blah, blah. So it's quite a status type of job. So I decided, okay, yeah, I guess I know which country I'm going to go to at the time when the resettlement program kicks in. A year in, that because my UN passport has to be, every year they have to renew it. Less than a year in, actually. They told me, so you need to choose to renew the contract or go basically with the resettlement program. I said, well, I can renew my contract. It's 1 year, so I can do that. But regarding the resettlement, I can start the process. I said, good, okay, let's do that. The option at the time that I've been given was Canada, United States, and Australia. For some reason, Australia was out of the equation for me because I thought, oh, it's right under the ozone. I'm not coming there. It's not too much of work. So it's between Canada and the US. Canada waiting time was 18 months. The US was 6 months to get the green card. Canada was 18 months to get the visa. It's logically, you go with the shortest, right? I kept saying, no, I'm not going. I'm going to Canada. Why? They kept questioning me. Why would you choose Canada? It doesn't even make sense for you to choose something that far when you can be in the United States in 6 months. The girl at the time kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Little I know that she was American. I didn't know that. Out of frustration, I said, listen, at some point, I'm going to have to go back to Iraq, see my mom. And if I showed up with American passport, my mom going to spit on my face. I just want her to shut up. I didn't know, I wasn't thinking, I just don't want her to shut up. I want this argument to end and respect my choice and let me go.
You had to tell her something.
Yeah, I was angry because she kept pushing me that, remember, this process took a week. And every single time I meet her, she keep asking the same questions. So eventually I said, okay, fine, Canada. So she signed my paper. I said, thank you. I left. A couple of minutes later, my manager came in. He said, what the hell did you say to that girl? I said, well, I was frustrated. I said this, I'm sorry. He started laughing. I said, why? He said, do you know she's American or no? I said, fuck, I did not know that. I'm sorry. Long story short, I got my paper. So now I'm in the process of coming to Canada. As soon as my contract was over, I was so close to get my visa. I did the medical, I did the interview, I did all the steps one by one, and then pass. And then they told me approximate time that I'm gonna arrive to Canada. So around August, my contract was over. So they asked me if I want to renew it because they can push. I said, no, I have no interest of continuing doing what I'm doing with the UN. That's another different reason. I find out that there's a different level of corruption. That's one of them. Is a lot of BS, a lot of paperwork. By the time the money that we are getting reach a camp or doing the right job, you are spending 90% of it on between salaries, advertisement, travel. It's ridiculous. I mean, this is the way system works, but I didn't want to participate in that. So I said, yeah, no, I'm not gonna. They said, okay, then you're gonna receive your visa in a couple of weeks, and they will tell you which day you're gonna fly. I said, perfect, all good. So my flight was supposed to be September 12th, 2001.
Jesus.
Yeah, so you know what happened? My flight was canceled. My contract was done in August, end of July. And they squeezed me and pushed me in a flight that is August 3rd. I said, okay, the visa is here because I'm not paying for anything. Basically, if you're a refugee, they book the flight, everything. So I was like, is it possible? I used kind of my connection with them, with the UN. I said, could you squeeze me in that flight? That would be awesome. Okay, let's see what we can do. And they did it. August 3rd, 2001. August 2nd, I had a car accident. I was saying goodbye to my friend in one part of the town in Damascus. As we are going up on the mountain, a big transport hit us, and I was unconscious, broken jaw, cut all over my face. I almost lost my left eye. Long story short, that flight was canceled. Second book was canceled as well. So everyone's looking at me, maybe it's not, you shouldn't be going to Canada. At the time, I managed to get my family out of Iraq slowly, painlessly. So my parents, brothers, and sisters, all of them arrived to Syria. Then I received the second booking. I tried to use my connection to add my family to my case. They said, no, because your case is completely closed. You are in the process of traveling now, so there's no going back unless you cancel completely and now you start all over. And we don't recommend this. You go there and you start doing the paper. So then I was booked for November 18th, and that's when I arrived to Canada.
So you wrote to me that you can summarize why you were influenced to come to Canada, and you wrote a quote down. Do you remember what that quote was?
I think the quote is more like I'm not sure if it's Kofi Annan or Boutros Ghali.
Yes, Boutros Ghali.
Yeah, he was asked to describe Canada, and I love this quote. He was asked to describe Canada, and I still believe, even with this economic mess that we are in right now, I still believe it's 100% true. He said, Canada picked up the best from the entire world and picked up the two best system, but did not pick the entire system, picked up the good part of every system. So they picked up the good part of socialism and the good part of the capitalism and merged it, and that's how Canada was born. The very first time I heard it, I was like, what is he talking about? And then I start reading and investigating about Canada, and that's what made my choice. Yeah, I mean, look at the healthcare that the entire world is admiring Canada for. That's totally socialism. But look at the rest of it. Yeah, you are not in a socialism environment like previous Soviet Union or something. You can own your house. Your house, you can grow. You can actually become very influential if you build your own financial empire if you want to. You have both opportunities. You can be protected, but the capitalism won't eat you alive like what's happening in some of the capitalism countries. So I love this quote. I actually believe in it.
Yeah, it says, Canada is the perfect mix of socialism and capitalism that made it exemplary and a leadership role in promoting peace, development, democracy, and human rights.
That's right.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I was never aware of that, so I love the fact that you included it.
When I heard it the first time, I read it, obviously I read it in Arabic. Every single time somebody asked me about this quote, I translate it differently. So the way I said the quote to you a few seconds ago, because I never read it in English.
I wouldn't be able to say it off the top of my head either, so.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, yeah, your main mission then, when you land here, is to reunite you with your family.
Yeah. Seeing what happened to me, recognizing that my family actually went through the exact same thing after I left, I wanted them to be as safe as I am. So I am in Canada. What's safer than that? For me, it was like more than logical. It was like, that's it. There's no other reason.
Did you have any contact with them at all from the moment you were taken to leave for Jordan and subsequently Syria? And then when you landed in Canada, was there any contact in between there?
Couple of times, but I have to contact my neighbor, and they have to keep this to have that neighbor, because that was the only one they could trust, because you can't trust everyone. That when I call and they say, listen, I'm gonna call in a few minutes. In a few minutes, my mom or my dad or whoever is there come in. Then I call again. My name will never be mentioned. Nobody will act like, hi son, how are you? No, that word I will never hear. There was like a lot of protocol. And the only reason why I know that protocol, because it was sent to me verbally by our other neighbor, who's was driver between Baghdad and Damascus. So he met me, he said, listen, this is what's gonna happen. This is what you have to say. Don't ever say that. Don't ever say mom. Protocol. So we built up that protocol. So every single time I call them, yes, I used to call them at least once, twice a month, and that would be the situation. when I was so close to get them out of Iraq and kind of situation calmed down in a way after several years, and the government took what they wanted to, basically from our properties and whatever I own, kind of they shifted focus. We managed to get them passports, and I managed to help them. At the time, anyone who need a passport has to pay 400,000 Iraqi dinar. It's a lot of money at the time. Iraq was under sanctions, and 400,000, it's a lot of money. And multiply that on 7 people, it's a lot of money. So I was working in Syria and I was working with the UN, and my salary was good, so I could actually achieve that. So we managed to get the money in. We managed to get them paid, have the passport. We managed to have our friend check in if there is any note about them on the border, and when they just came in. So I was glad when they arrived. I know that they are safe. And now it's my step to bring them back to our new home. So I start working the day I arrived, I start working. When I arrived to Canada, I arrived to Montreal, then they brought me, and then I moved to Gatineau. In Gatineau, like basically overnight in Montreal, and then brought me to Gatineau right away because I chose which city. I want to be in a city that I can speak English and French. Because believe it or not, when I first arrived, my French was better than my English. Even though that I studied English for 8 years, I studied 2 years in university evening class. I took evening class for French. So my French was really good and I was excited to practice that. Anyways, so when I arrived to Gatineau, the next day, my worker from immigration was supposed to come in and see me and start helping me with the process of getting health card, getting my SIN number, and a bunch of other things. He came in the morning. He had me settle up in the motel. He said, "I'm coming to see you tomorrow morning. Okay, have some rest. Your food is there. The lady there know who you are. You don't need to pay for anything." Sure. Okay. I ate, slept in. Next morning, he came in asking for me, and she said, "He's working." The receptionist. He said, "What? What do you mean he's working?" She said, "Yeah, there's a construction upstairs." So the motel was 2 levels, and they had a crew of construction guys. I went there and I heard banging in the morning. So I went there. I said, "You guys need a worker. What can you do?" I said, "Can I do everything? I don't know construction, but I can help you with everything else." "Okay, so your job is to move the junk and drywall and all that stuff that we are pulling and put them in that container." "Sure, I'm in." So here I am working. I heard him yelling at me. I said to my boss at the time, I said, "May I just go talk to him?" He said, "Yeah, go." He said, "What are you doing working? You shouldn't be working. I'm taking you to register in a class to learn the language and all that stuff. This is more important. You don't need to work. Your income is guaranteed for the first year by the government and all that stuff. It's not much, but it will cover your rent, it will cover your food, your drink." I said, "Listen, I'm here. I need to work so I can start the process of sponsoring my parents, 2 brothers and 3 sisters. I cannot be receiving help from the government while I'm doing that. I need to show that I'm a good citizen in order for me to be able to do this." He said, "Yeah, but you," I said, "No, there's no but. Language, I can learn it from the street. Work is my priority right now." I remember him saying one thing. So he pulled an envelope that has I remember the exact number, $320. So because I didn't have a bank account at the time, he had to bring me the money in cash. His job that day was to take me and do the paperwork, open a bank account for me, help me with the health card application and the SIN number. So I asked him, "Could you help me with these in the evening?" And I hand you the application. Like I arranged it in a way. I said, "And I can book one day with my boss that you take me there. Could you continue?" "Yeah." So he handed me the $320, all $20 bills at the time. He said, "I cannot return this. I already pulled them. I already signed them. I cannot. So you have to accept those. These are yours." That was the last penny I received from the Canadian government. I start working and I moved from place to place, moved from Gatineau to Ottawa, following my work. I worked literally everything from Hasty Market. I don't know if it still exists. It's called Hasty Market. Pizza delivery, you name it. I worked it. Then I got opportunity. I went to one of the stores and it has a rack for Arabic newspaper. So I pulled one of them, and that newspaper was hiring for a graphic designer. Send them my resume, talk to them over the phone, all that stuff. They invited me for an interview. I was doing a pizza delivery at the time. My boss, I was driving my boss car, and he wanted to get rid of that little Suzuki Swift. He wanted to get rid of it. So I told him, I said, why don't you sell me this car? I need a reliable vehicle to go to Toronto. He said, yeah, how much? 200, done. I bought my vehicle, I drove to Toronto. I had no driver license because I was under the impression that I'm carrying my international driver license. So I thought, you know what? It's acceptable because it's still valid. I didn't know that I need insurance because back home we didn't have insurance. So here I am driving a vehicle that the plate is under his name, even though that I signed the paper. No insurance, no driver license, not knowing about Canadian winter and slipping all over the 401, all the way from Ottawa to Toronto with the book, the map book, you remember those? The map book on my side, routing my way all the way to where I'm going. Went for the interview, they hired me, so I had to travel one more time to Ottawa, grab my stuff and come back. All that with no driver license, nothing. That night, I met a couple of friends. I know them from Syria, so we went out. We parked the car, and a drunk girl turned around and gave the car my back without. I think she was drunk. She didn't notice there is a car, and she threw a bottle of beer, empty bottle of beer, landed on the back windshield and broke the windshield. The reason why I'm telling you this is because that's how I realized that I need insurance and driver license and a sticker and plate and all the kahuni. The police officer came in. He said, "I don't know if I should arrest you or arrest her." I said, "I honestly don't know." He said, "That's your excuse. You're so polite. And you are honest. When I ask you, you said, no, I have this. I don't have insurance. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I want you to drive, and I'm going to drive behind you. And I want you to park your car where you reside, and promise me never move it until you get these sorted." I said, "I promise." And I did. I was driving the bus for a couple of months because I was already had my G1 in Ottawa. So I'm already in the process. That's how I moved to Toronto. And unfortunately, that's how I lost the French language skills because now I'm no longer using it. And I've been here since 2002.
And you met Lisa before your family arrived. So tell me how you guys got connected.
My lovely wife, Lisa, she is a nurse practitioner. She is a nurse at Georgian Bay General Hospital. Before my family arrives, my life kind of starts settling and I'm enjoying everything, but I can't get married just because the second I get married, my wife become the first relative number one, and my parents get shifted from first stage second, which make it difficult for me to sponsor them. So I made a decision not to get married. So I was single at the time, and I had a little aluminum boat that my buddy who lives around Palm Beach has a property right on the beach. So I threw that boat there. And when I have time, I'll just go. He gave me a copy of his property key. I unlock it, go in, use the boat, come back, use his house if I need it. And that's it. One day before my family arrived, his mom was in the house and she is not feeling well. I met her a couple of times, but she looked like bad. I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "No, I'm not okay. I feel like I need to see a doctor." I said, "Okay, let me call the ambulance." No, don't call them. "Okay, I'll take you to a doctor." FYI, Iraqi people hate hospitals and doctors. My parents, everyone. I figured, okay, let me convince her. No, don't take me to a doctor. Take me to my Lisa. That's what she said. "Take me to my Lisa." Who the hell is your Lisa? "She is my healthcare provider." "Okay, where is she?" Jump into the car, put her in the car. and she gave me the direction to Midland. That was the first time I seen Midland, because I usually come through Barrie. So she showed me where Midland is and took her to Georgian Bay General Hospital. I'm sitting with her interpreting because her English is very little. So I am the translator, and I'm watching what Lisa is doing. I was like, wow, you actually spend like an hour and a half with this woman, an hour and a half of your professional time to see what's going on with her. That's like to recognize how the urgency of seeing her and all that stuff. You could have just said, no, you know what, just go to Emerge. They can do everything and I will receive the report. No. She did not do that. So I approached her. I said, listen, do you take new patients? She said, yeah, I'm accepting new patients. Well, my family are coming into Canada in a couple of months. I knew at the time that they are arriving that winter, but I didn't know exact date. And I would like to have a family physician for them. She said, yeah, absolutely. Where do you live? I said, Mississauga. She said, oh, no, I'll give you a phone number for another provider. I said, no, I don't want another. I want you to take care of them. She said, you're telling me you're going to come in and travel all the way? I said, there is 8 of us. My family are 7, and plus me, that's 8. Your shift is 8 hours, so you can book us. And that's what happened. So when my family arrived, I started taking them, literally booking the appointment. And that day, Lisa will book us all for her. That day, we go from day till she's done until she settled and had all the information. So she became the healthcare provider for myself and my family. My family came in, settled. They know that I have zero interest of staying in the city. The only reason why I'm staying in the city because they are there and I'm about to take off somewhere. One day I came into the hospital and I can't remember why I went downstairs, but Lisa was telling me to bring something from downstairs. And there was a board in front of the cafeteria. I looked at it and they were hiring as a security guard. Security guard was one of my thing because I worked 100 type of jobs to keep my income in the level that keep me as a good sponsor for my parents and my family all. So I was like, okay, I can apply for this job. I asked her about it. She said, yeah, this is what you do. Bring your resume, submit it. It's done. I applied. I got the job. So now I'm living part-time in Midland and part-time with my parents in Mississauga. 2-3 months after that, I think, after I started, Lisa broke up with her ex. I didn't know that. I thought that was the first time. It appears that at the time, it was the second time. So because it was the second time and the first time, she broke up and then she went back and all her friends and family took her side. And when she came back to him, it was kind of awkward in a way. This time they decided, you know what, we're going to decide. And when you finally tell us your decision, we'll decide to support you or not, because we're not going through that route again. So she was by herself. I was living part-time in Midland by myself. So from time to time, again, would you like to, I will grab lunch and eat together, or would you like to go for supper, or would you like to go for a movie theater? Everything was normal. So there was tradition happening in Midland every year. It's called Party on the Dock. It happened usually around June. That June, Party on the Dock, everyone eating and drinking, and rumors will be all over the place. It's tradition. So the next day, I'm on shift. The rumor in the hospital was Ziad is dating Lisa. I heard that. I came to her office. She was working downstairs. I said, so, did you hear the rumor? She said, yep. She was angry. So when Lisa's angry, she doesn't say yes or no. She said, yep, like this. And she said, yep. I said, okay, how about this? I have a solution. I said, let's make it real. How about I'll take you out for an official date? All of a sudden, her face changed, and from being angry all the way, what? I said, yeah, let's go for a real date. Unless you don't like to. Okay. That's how it started. We started dating, and we've been together since. We got married 2021. It took us that long because the very first several years we were living in a house that she owned with her ex-partner. I didn't want to get married there. There's an a hidden ownership in that house that I didn't want to touch. So my condition was we're not getting married until initially I was thinking until we build our own home. We bought a property, but I was dumb enough to start a restaurant within that property. So we didn't get the chance to build the property. Finally, a couple of years after that, we decided to sell the property and we had a house. We bought the house in Perkinsfield in 2019. COVID hit in 2020. And 2021, we had kind of break from COVID and we decided, we're not messing around. We're going to get married that year. And we've been married. We've been together, 18 years.
When you were first together, you started traveling south to the States and the Caribbean. You had a really interesting interaction in Florida. So
I knew you're going to go there. Lisa goes for education. For me, that's a vacation because while she's in a conference, I'll go with her. There's a hotel room. All I need to pay is for my ticket. And I have the day for myself, do whatever. When she goes to Vegas, I'm in a casino blowing money that she's making when we go elsewhere. So one time, the trip was to Florida. I always want to see Florida. I want to see the marsh there. I want to see the crocodiles and alligators and all that. Everything has to do with the Florida. So we went there. We were staying in very nice resorts. I came back from being in the street all day, discovering Florida, and she came back from the conference, and we decided, let's go to the hot tub. It was kind of chilly that evening, that afternoon, actually. So we decided to go to a hot tub. It was a nice big hot tub and swimming pool next to it. We were sitting there. A nice, lovely couple came in and sat next to us. We start chit-chatting. Where are you from? You're from Canada. We are from the state, blah, blah, blah. What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? I noticed one thing about this gentleman. He has a military haircut. You know what I'm talking about. Like when you are in service, whether you're bald or you always have a sharp haircut, something that screams that you are in service without you saying anything. So I looked at him. I said, he told me he works at Disney. So I was like, you don't look like a person who works at Disney. He started laughing. He said, why? What do I look like? I said, you look like a military person. He said, yeah, I am. I'm a veteran. I used to be in American Army. I said, and Lisa jumped in this conversation because we all would chit-chat. And she said, Ziad used to be in the Iraqi Army. So now we have a connection. Oh, hi. We both Army. We both chit-chat. What did you do in your army? He was a sniper. What did you do I said, well, I was voluntold. So I told him the story. I was like, and what did you do? Before he told me he was a sniper, we reached a point that we need to know what each other is doing. And I don't know how I can't remember how the conversation went through, but we both said what we did. Like we reached the level that I was a soldier in 1991. Oh, I was a soldier in 1991. Okay. Something during that conversation, we said it at the same time. I said I was sting missile operator, and this guy said I was a sniper. And then went silent. He was silent. I was silent. His wife was silent. My wife was silent. It's like now the dots are connected. During our training, we were told, watch out for snipers because we are individual wolves. The snipers are the American individual wolves. Their job was to hunt Sting missile operator or RPG-7 operator.
Wow.
So there was tension in the air. You can feel it. And I remember I had goosebumps all over me. And I knew what's happening. His wife started panicking, like, this is going down. This is bad. I said, you don't need to panic. So I have to break that ice. Like everyone's quiet. I have to say something. I said, listen, you were doing your job. I was doing my job. The fact that we are sitting here, that's the proper way. We are talking about now, actually, we have better connection than anyone else. It kind of calm us down. I said, how about this? We are about to get out of the hot tub because now we are on top of the heat. We are like, our brain is fired. I said, how about this? We are about to get out of the hot tub. And his wife jumped in. Oh, yeah, we too. We too. Like she could not let go of his arm. She wanna pull him so fast. I said, would you guys like to meet for supper? We'll sit together and eat. And And I looked at the girls. I said, we promise we're not going to talk about anything unless you guys allow us. So I just would like to know him in person. And if he wants to know me in person, that's up to him, and you guys decide. So I'll let you decide. We're going to be in that restaurant. We named the name of the restaurant at 6:00. If you guys like to show up. 6:00, they walk in. We sat, we drank, we ate, we chit-chat. We were there for like a couple of hours before talking about any politics. And at the end, I remember saying to him, he said to me, actually, at the end, he said, my family disowned me for what I did. I said, what you did were following orders that your commander-in-chief thought is protecting their country. Just like what I did is following orders my commander-in-chief doing to protect my country. I was doing my job, you were doing your job. The fact that your job was against my job has nothing in this equation, but you were doing it. I said, second, do you think we would have got rid of Saddam if it wasn't for American and getting involved in 2003? He looked at me, he said, what do you mean? I said, we couldn't. You remember what happened in 91? We had 17 provinces falling under the revolutionists, and when only the capital city was under Saddam's control. He lost control of 17 provinces, and yet he won. He used chemicals, he used flying jet, he used every single power to destroy us. Do you think any Iraqi would like to go through that again? We need it. If you consider what you did was evil, well, guess what? It took an evil to get rid of an evil. If you want me to say something to your family, I remember him crying after I gave my speech. Apparently, I did very good speech. I can't remember the exact one, but I said that's the gist of it. I said, if you want me to basically go with you for a visit or talk to them over the phone, I'm more than happy to explain. Tell them. And I spoke to his wife. I said, please tell them that you guys met somebody from Iraq. This is the situation. I'm a firm believer of what you did. What you did is following order. Wrong or right, that's not our to discuss. That's for the history to decide, because we don't live that long to understand what actually the effect of every single step that happened in the world. That gentleman, I'm not in luxury to say his name, he's still my best friend. We're still communicating and chit-chatting. That's one of our vacations south. It was very interesting. If anybody told me that story, I was like, sometimes I sit with Lisa and said, do you actually believe, like for a couple of years after that, do you actually believe this happened? After we become friends and we chit-chat, he said, you realize, he said, please promise me one thing. I said, what? He said, don't ever tell me which location you were in. And I promise you, I will never tell you which sector you were in, and I will never tell you which sector I was in. The last thing we want is to know that I was actually hunting your ass. I said, yep, I promise you, I'm not telling you anything like that. And that line, we never cross. Never. Because it's a great connection I have with this gentleman. And we heard many stories about Second World War, Canadian and German soldier, and how they reconnected after the German soldier helping Canadian because they didn't believe in what. It's, for me, that was pretty similar, different in way, but it was pretty similar.
I'm so happy that happened to you.
I am too.
Yeah.
In all honesty,
after everything, it's a really nice on so many levels.
I could see the relief in his face. We both did not get closure from whatever we went through. And that conversation in a hot tub, it lasted like 5-8 minutes, maybe. It gave us that closure. We didn't talk about it after. That's it. We know what's going on. We know who's, like, I was running away from a person that could be him, and he was hunting a person that could be me. But we both been doing our job. We got the closure by having that conversation. It was
healing on a number of levels, yeah.
Healing, but in a Disney way, it's magical. Let's put it this way. I even make fun of him every single time. I say, oh, well, I can speak your language, your Disney language. It was magical. I said, fuck him.
So how did wanting to become a firefighter come on your radar? What point did that happen?
I have zero interest of becoming a firefighter. I have to say that up front. In Iraq, firefight back in the days, not now. Now it's different level because now they start knowing the effect and more education in the academy and all that stuff. Like it's different level. But back in the days, to join the service, whether police was kind of exception because you have to have certain percentage from high school. But fire department specifically and military, you have to be really failing in school. And that would be your last resource of option. If you want to be in the military and try doing this, but if you want to be local, then you join the fire department. So this is the mentality I grew up with. I couldn't take that out of my mind. During my life in Canada, I had many hints about firefighter. Guess what I did? Ignored them all. I have for example, in 2003, my best friend in Toronto, who was living close by, and we meet literally every day. I know he wanted to become a police officer in Toronto Police. I said, yeah, and he's doing all that. He's exercising, getting ready for it. One day he said, yeah, I'm going to the academy. He just sent me a message. I'm going to the academy. I'm thinking, okay, he's going to the police academy, right? So yeah. 3 months later, came back. I said, so how is using the gun? Iraqi person and rifles? No. He said, I did not join the police department. He said, what? And what did you do? I said, well, I joined the fire department. What the hell are you talking about? When somebody you haven't seen in 3 months, you would ask question, right? He was, oh, what is that? Why? And did not ask a single question. For me, that was like almost, I felt like he was insulting his intelligence. That's how bad my brain was washed. Like I said, oh, congratulations. I couldn't be not happy. I have to be happy for my friends. So I said, oh, well, congratulations. And done. Did not talk about it, did not ask questions, did not investigate, did not even research what firefighters do. Another opportunity is where I was working at Georgian Bay General Hospital on the very first month that I was hired. Doug, he's my friend. He's a captain now in Midland Fire Department. He made a party and he invited me, even though that I was there for a couple of weeks. He says, yeah, we have a little party. I brought pizza, drink, and all the stuff. I said, for what? He said, well, I've been volunteer firefighter for a while and for a couple of years now. And finally, I got into full-time firefighter in Midland. You would think I would investigate that, especially with the word volunteer. And I live in Midland. Nada. I didn't even attend the party because I was busy with the patient at the time. And that's it. Did not investigate, did not ask questions, did not do anything. So years after that, and we finally settled, we are planning to get married, and we finally bought our own home in Perkinsfield. And I'm telling Lisa, I said, listen, I need to do something, whether join the military as a reserve or join the OPP. Those are my target. Firefighter, no, wasn't even in my radar. She rejected them both. She said, military, you're going to have to travel all over the countries like my brother. Her brother is in the military, both of them. I said, okay, how about OPP? She said, well, same thing. You could be your post could be up north. So no, I don't see you doing OPP. You can't handle seeing something unjust. You don't have that control on you. That's what she claimed. So I kept pushing. I figured, you know what, if I keep pushing, at some point, I'm going to break her and she's going to say, okay, you know what, go for it. One day we were driving from Perkinsfield to visit my parents in Mississauga. So we took the County Road 6 and we drove by Wyville Station, and they had that yellow banner, recruiting now. And she looked at me and she was like, and she pointed, how about that? I turned around, I said, firefighting? Firemen. I said, well, that's the word, actually. I said, firemen? He said, yeah, they're good for the community. And we never had a conversation about what firefighter does. Remember all of that. So I said, okay, I guess I'm going to give it a try. I wasn't very convinced. I figured I'm going to give it a try. So I went through the process. I did the aptitude. I did the physical. I was shocked that I passed the physical because I was I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing the last exercise I did. It was when I was 16, maybe. I haven't been active whatsoever. So the fact that I passed, I was like, okay, sure. Then they gave me the offer, and I had a meeting with the chief, and the chief said, we will send you for 6 months to SFA. It took everything for me not to laugh. I thought he was joking. We're going to send you to the academy for 6 months, every weekend for 6 months. You can attend and do this. And I came home, and I remember I said, guess what they are doing? They are sending me to the academy. I was very sarcastic. They are sending me to the academy for 6 months so I can hold the hose. I was in the military for 4 to 6 days, and I was held in a missile. Like, what the hell are they going to teach me? I was totally oblivious. Scott, before even going to the academy, my station at the time, Station 1, I went and introduced myself, and they gave me my uniform, a bunker, and all that stuff. And I remember saying, oh, next Monday is a training. If you like to attend, you haven't get into the academy, but if you like to attend, that's cool. I figured, you know what, I'll meet everyone in my station, introduce myself, knowing them. I showed up wearing a bunker on top of my underwear. I went there wearing nothing underneath my bunker and the t-shirt and the bunker jacket on top. My helmet is on my side because I thought it's a training, and I was driving like that. I drove from my home to the station wearing a bunker. That's how oblivious I was about firefighting. I had zero knowledge. To the point that I went to a training, and the training wasn't even like, it was in a class, actually. It wasn't even, everyone is in uniform. I did not wear my uniform. I showed up upstairs with the bunker pants and t-shirt, and the captain says, he said, what are you doing wearing a bunker? I said, well, we have training. He said, well, no bunker allowed here. It's only in the hall. I said, well, could you give me an excuse? And I'll tell you after, but right now, this bunker is new and clean and hasn't touched fire. I said, okay, well, you get one pass. That's it. I said, okay, Captain, that's good. After years, I told the captain, I said, you know why I didn't? He said, well, yeah, what the hell? Why did you show up with the bunker? I said, I did not know. I was wearing underwear underneath it. I wasn't wearing pants or short or anything.
I just love how innocent. I just love how innocent that moment is.
I did not know. Like, if you investigate or do your research, you will find out. I did not even watch a show about firefighters until after. Honestly, that's how oblivious I was.
Yet since a child, it was in your blood, it was in your DNA. You had a lot of instances of wanting to help people. Walk me back through that, about those times where, upon reflection now, you look back and you see it was always in you. So tell me about that.
So since I was 10, I had my first aid bag. And when I say a bag, I'm talking about like a duffel bag. It has all type of Band-Aids, all type of chemicals. I always look at the expiration, always upgrading it. And that bag did not go smaller. It grew as I'm growing since I was 10, to the point that my entire neighborhood, if anything happened, they know where to find these. They don't need to go to a pharmacy or anything. Ziad is there. That's when we play football, we call soccer here, which was very popular. Every day we do that. I bring my bag with me, and being very proud. Like, I have my bag is next to the goalie. They know where it is. If anything happened, they do not touch my bag. They call me. They stop the game. They call me, and I go there, clean the wound, clean the scratch, put the Band-Aid on, make sure that the person is okay. If the person needs to be sent to the hospital, that was just basic. I did not have proper training. But if the cut is above what I can handle, oh, no, you need to go to the clinic. I can't do that. I can clean it. I'm going to try to stop it, but you need to go to clinic. So the entire neighborhood knew that and kept growing. I had like stuff for burning. So since I was a child, that's been my life. When for example, one of the incident, I was coming back from college. It was kind of spring, nice. So we walk from university, the Academy of Art, to home, like a couple of hours walking. And I remember ahead of us, a car, the driver was a lady with 2 kids, get hit by a train. I don't know the circumstances, but the train drive very slow in the city, doesn't drive fast. So somehow, I'm not sure what happened. The train hit it. hit her car, but it get attached. So he kept dragging that car for like at least 100 meters before the car kind of lost a bumper or something and fell on the ditch. And we seen it as we are walking, we seen it without even thinking or anything. I don't have any tools. We start running towards the car. I start running and my buddy start running behind me. And some civilian from far away start coming, but we arrive to the scene first. And we extricate that lady and her kids out of the car before even anyone showed up. By the time people showing up, and then the police, and then the ambulance, and the fire department, all that stuff, we already did our job. We're like, hey, you know what? She's in safe hand now, and we took off, and that's it. So I had that in me, but again, it's like brainwash. I didn't know what firefighter do. On my first day in the academy, I remember I was so excited as I was leaving my very first session with SFA. I called my wife. I said, honey, I am whipped. She said, tell me all about it. I said, no, I am whipped. I need you to open the hot tub in the back, get the towels, you get ready, put your bathing suit because I'm jumping and I am sore everywhere. She said, okay. So we went, I said, and when we sit in the hot tub, I'm going to tell you all about it. So usually when I call, anything happened to my life in my life, I call Lisa, good or bad. I share it with her. I tell her what happened. So she was like, how is it that you didn't tell me over the phone? I said, well, I cannot tell you how I feel over the phone because I might ruin it. You have to see my face. So I start telling her without knowing, I start crying. I said, I just found myself. She still remember those words. I said, I just found myself because she know how much struggle I had in my career life. I keep like trying to find something that even with the security, it was so close and I was going to join the police and I was like, no, not quite there yet. So I kept changing. So she knew the struggle. She said, what do you mean? I said, I just found myself. I said, did you know what the firefighter do? She said, yeah, like fire, accident. And I said, no. I said, this is what they do. This is what they do. And of course, at that time, freaking Jesse Bond gave us the speech. So here I am, extremely passionate and listening to this guy saying all these right terminology and the right word. And you know, Jesse, how passionate he is about firefighting. And I'm explaining what firefighters do. I said, nobody told me that. And I start yelling. And I didn't know that I was crying, but she keep remembering this. I said, this is what firefighters do. That's why I'm going to be there for 6 months. It's not because I'm holding a hose. I barely could hold a hose. I'm going to do this. I'm going to save people from the car. I'm going to go for medical. I was blowing. Like my mind was working that night. As exhausted as I was, I could not sleep that night. And she knew. She says, Ziad, you have to go to the academy next day. I said, I know. I just can't sleep. I'm so excited for a Sunday because that was Saturday. And that's how I get involved with the firefighting. I did not know what I'm getting myself to until I found myself.
So you were volunteering with your local fire department, but you started also volunteering at the academy.
I started volunteering at the academy after I sold the restaurant because at the time I had the restaurant and it was full-time, 7 days a week. I was exhausted. I wasn't even... Many times I went to level red on my department, which is very close to get fired because my attendance wasn't good because I needed at the restaurant, staffing, all that stuff. It got worse after COVID. And that's why even for example, the 6 months that we were supposed to finish the academy, it was extended to a year and a half because of COVID. So we were the COVID recruit class. The second COVID was over, we had the thought, we need to sell the restaurant. But we were waiting for the right moment. The first week of April, the second week, I sent an email to Jesse. I said, listen, I'm all yours. Where do you need me to? So he said, why don't you come in for a talk? And I start showing up. I said, give me your schedule. And every boot camp, I'm showing up. Okay, we don't need staff. I said, well, I'll be in the background because for me, in all honesty, it was free education. he's allowing me to be in the class listening to these awesome instructors with their experience and all that stuff, and everyone coming up with different technique, different terminology, different life experience, bring it to this table. Yeah, it's a free education. So I came out of that class with more knowledge than what I came up with. Same thing when we go to the hall and do a practical, and I see some of the techniques that I never even heard, or it was developed, or somebody thought about. It was mesmerizing. So I figured, you know what, that's what I want. So I told Jesse, I said, from now on, put me in a schedule for anything you need. Step by step, he wanted me to work with him. But at the time, and I still waiting for my 1041. So policy-wise, I cannot be but shadow. So he said, how about this? How about we send you for SCBA technician course? I was like, yep. I didn't even think about it. Yep, sure, go for it. So now I knew more about the SCBA than I knew before, and they have totally different level of appreciation, knowing the mechanic, the design, mind-blowing, the technology that's in it. And I'm helping them preparing those while I'm waiting for my 1041 so I can be more involved as an instructor.
And you've been continuing to build your resume and to eventually, hopefully, get a full-time gig.
I used to say I hope, but I don't think that's even possible anymore. I am 51 years old now. I wish there is one department that could take a bet on me and say, you know what, we'll take the risk and hire you. I have the qualification. I can pass all the physical, which I did for many, many departments. I even passed interviews to the point that I was actually told that I'm going to start July 7th, 2024. I got the job offer verbally, and they said, we're going to see you July 7th. That's to this point, and then they pulled. I wish that's the case. I don't think I'm not very optimistic as I used to be. It's unfortunate. If I know that there is a chance, I will apply now. I've been turned down far too many times to the point that I don't want to kill that flame inside me by getting turned off, by getting rejected. So I decided I'm not going to apply anymore. So I start focusing elsewhere. If I cannot be a firefighter that helping people, I can educate a new firefighter. I have the life experience aspect that I have the culture different. I have the point of view that might be unique in a way that I can represent. So why not? So I start focusing on building that direction. Currently, I am a student. I don't know if I told you that, but I applied to Seneca. So I am second semester of fire prevention and protection engineering at Seneca. It's a 3 years program, advanced diploma. It will put me in a good position to teach, to educate, many things. So, and it has a lot of knowledge that I've been absorbing as well. So I kind of shift my focus just because I still want to serve. If I'm lucky and one chief looked at me and goes, you know what, I'm going to hire you as a full-time firefighter, even if it's 5 years, I will serve whenever, as many years as you want. And after that, I will continue serving as a fire prevention because of this course that I'm taking right now. So I am shifting my focus, but.
Are you able to continue volunteering though?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, fantastic.
But in the same topic, I have opportunities coming in that might shift that as well, because it will affect my attendance. So I want to be fair as well. Volunteer firefighters are doing a good job, and we are short. I cannot stress that. I encourage every single young man who has the ability to do that to focus on that and help their community. It build that resilience. This job builds you as a good human being. It makes you, if you are a diamond that just in a mud, this job will shape you and make you the diamond that you deserve to be on the shelf and the way you represent yourself. I encourage everyone to do that. And that's why if I'm not going to be a firefighter, I'm going to be in education level, I'm hoping. So opportunities, I'm facing a couple of good opportunities within that. and I might actually go in leave of absence or pull from the fire department because it's not fair for the department when they are needing and they count on you and I am not available. So I would rather give that seat to somebody who deserves it if that's the case. Well, I'll have a conversation with my chief and see how that goes.
Well, I'm incredibly happy that you made your way to SFA and we crossed paths, and now I know you. And I knew when we were talking in the kitchen, like, this would be very special. Yeah, it was definitely a story that needed to be told. And I know it was moving that day for me on a number of levels. And I know it was moving tonight to hear even more. And I know it's going to be moving for a lot of other people and give people a very unique perspective on many things. So thank you so much for telling your story tonight.
I appreciate the fact that you looked at it at a story that needs to be told. I believe that every human has their own story, have their own struggle, have their own mess that they go through, and everyone is unique in a way. I appreciate the fact that you actually thought about it that way. You didn't know, but I was actually a big fan of you and your podcast specifically. You have the voice for it. That's a given. But also, it's the style of the podcast that make it unique. And I love hearing every firefighter story that you bring in. Sometimes even you bring in somebody has nothing to do with firefighter, but their education help other firefighter. It's mesmerizing. So when I saw you there, I was like, this. I asked Joe, and he said, "Oh, that's Scott." I said, "Scott as a Scott Healer." Yeah. I was like, "Oh, hey Scott, this is I'm a big fan." So. And I'm glad I met you. If it wasn't for SFA, again, SFA has a very important part in my life and in my heart as well, because SFA is the place where I learned to become a firefighter. SFA is the place where the flame started. And SFA is where I met you. SFA is where I see that shine in many young gentlemen and women who are eager to serve, and you can see their eyes just sparkling when they pass or when they learn something new or when they have a good question to ask. It has a good part in my life, and you and your podcast has a huge part of my life, because I can swear that some episode I listen to 5-6 times, because yes, English is a second language to me. So sometimes I don't get it first time, but also sometimes I go, there's a quote. That person said a quote. I need really to understand. So I have to listen all over. Sometimes I rewind it and listen again. It's what you are doing. I hope you know what you are doing. What you are doing is representing firefighters, representing fire service in a way that I cannot find. With all due respect, they are doing all podcasts, doing a great job, but the way you represent it, very unique. Like, I've been blah, blah, blahing for the past 2 hours. I don't know how many hours. How many times I heard your voice? Nothing. It's like, you let me just be who I am and say who I am, and you let all your guests like that, unless it's necessary for you to interfere or to guide the conversation. Something that's very unusual. And we appreciate every single thing you've been doing for firefighting community and for the fire service.
Well, it's really meaningful coming from you. So I really take that to heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay, before we go, that was wonderful, but now you reminded me. So you're not only involved with SFA. Tell me where you are right now and what you're doing and how important that also is.
So I am involved as an instructor with an organization called Waswani. Waswani is an indigenous organization for fire prevention and protection services. So what they do is I don't want to say I don't want to take more of your time, but the underprivileged communities, which is the indigenous communities, for example, they've been denied insurance for their homes. I did not know that until I joined and the reason why they denied that, because there is no fire protection or prevention policy within their municipality. So what Waswani doing is actually helping them develop that, helping them develop fire departments. Or if they have fire departments, which is the very lucky case scenario, there is a big chance that those firefighters have no certificate, which is in my case right now. What we are doing, we are bringing them up to speed. So instead of having them traveling 15, 16 hours, 17 hours south and being away from their community, we come in and we are instructing them and getting them ready with cooperation with the SFA. So getting them ready so they can be certified, they have the knowledge. This is good group who actually want to serve their own community, but they have, for example, lack of the English is their language, but their main language is a Cree. So it's not, so they are the Cree nation. So that's what Waswani do. So what Waswani is doing, bringing those community to the point that they will be sustained on their own, which is they're going to be teaching their own fire department, having their own fire prevention, and most of all, a community that an insurance company or organization will look at and go, yeah, I can give you a mortgage for your house because you have everything set. When I first was presented with this opportunity, I looked at it and I did not even think. The owner, Brent Sterling, he was one of your guests at some point, when he offered me the opportunity and he told me to think about it, I said, no, there's nothing to think about it. I accepted it right away because I believe what Waswani is doing right now is going to be a story to tell, just like you said. What Waswani is providing the indigenous community with, I think it's a story that's going to be written in the firefighting essential at some point within the next 5 to 10 years. So I did not think about it. I wanted to be involved in this. I wanted to help. I think this is a big thing and I want to be part of it. That's why I am right now. I have a bad signal because I am in a town called Ojibugumu, which is a community, indigenous Cree community, and we are teaching firefighters. Last week we were in Nemaska, which is another Cree community. Both of them are northern Quebec. Last week we were doing firefighter 2. Last month we did firefighter 1 for both community, and this month firefighter 2. Next month we'll do hazmat. So now I'm on Ojibugumu. We're going to start teaching them tomorrow for a week and then head home, hopefully in the weekend.
They're lucky to have you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Scott.
Is there any way that anybody that hears this, if they want to help out with what's going on there, is there any way that they can do that? And if you don't know off the top of your head, I'm sure we can include it in the show notes. If there's a way that they can reach out and even like financially or any other like donating of equipment, is there some way that if someone feels like they want to help, is there a way that they can do that?
That would be Brent Sterling. He's the CEO and he managed everything. We've been doing a lot of work with that. So if anyone want to reach out, absolutely. You have his information. He was your guest at some point. I loved his episode. That would be him.
Okay. I'll make sure I include that contact email in the notes when we release the episode.
Absolutely.
Thanks for spending this night with me.
Thank you for your time, for your patience with me, and thank you for everyone who's listening to this.